Hi, today Tim Hughes here. I'm going to be talking with Claire, and we're going to be talking about her new book that she's got coming out. But before we get into that, Claire, where can people find you?
Well, I guess anywhere. Google me. Let's see what comes up.
Well, you've got to, your name. And how do I pronounce that?
So it's Claire with an I and an E.
Yeah,
Bosc. That's the
it is
French
Boss
in me. And then the
Scott.
Scots. Yeah. So, but the website is Claire Boscq-Scott. So even if you make a few typos in there, you will find me somehow.
And you're actually French, aren't you?
I
Living in
am,
Jersey.
yes. That's right, yes. So, but I have been now 30 years traveling around here in Jersey and, doing a few bits and bobs in other countries as well. So it's a long time, 30 years. I lived more abroad than what I lived in France, which is quite spooky.
Hmm. Fantastic. So we're going to talk about your new books. If you want to hold that up so people can see it.
Yes, of course. I never say no to that.
There you go.
So there we go. This
And,
is
and, and, and I should say Happy New Year to you as well, because it's...
this is it. That was the whole idea, was for me to come and actually launch it on Chinese New Year with, all the Feng Shui that I've got in this book. It had to have some new energy to it. So, we're normally around the world, we celebrate the 31st of January as our new year, 1st of January. 31st of December, 1st of January. And really, the Chinese look at the moons, and it's actually the first new moon of the year, which is why they're celebrating this new energy. So it's never the same time around the years. And they show it's the year of the tiger. So
Year of the Tiger, yeah.
Quite a powerful year, quite a strong year. So let's see. So it was a perfect opportunity to bring this little
So is your book available now on Amazon? Because when we look back in January, it was available but in Kindle.
Yes, so it's now you can get books, and it's also on Amazon on Kindle as well. And I've got it lulu.com. It's probably where you'll get that copy, the hard copy.
Where again did you say, Claire?
It's called Lulu.
Lulu.
Lulu.com. But Amazon by now should be able to sell the hard copies as well. So it's really exciting.
Absolutely. You sat down. Was it? We went into lockdown and suddenly realised you had time to write a book. Because normally you're off doing speaking and stuff, and because of the COVID, that all came to an end. So you actually had the time to sit down and write it, which is a great opportunity for you to grasp.
Yeah, I think it was more the method. So really, the whole thing about Bizshui is I have been passionate about Feng Shui and a practitioner for over 10 years, and I've never really brought it into a business of environment. I've always thought people would think I've gone a bit woo-woo, if you see what I mean. Especially in a CX environment.
So this isn't about moving your furniture in a particular place in the office, is it?
Well, there is a part of it, but really the whole point of Feng Shui, it's about making people feel good. So, the subconscious, we don't realize what's happening outside, but it's happening. And when you're walking in somewhere and you just go, oh, you just don't like it. It could be a retail shop, it could be anywhere, a office, a home, and you just don't like it. Well, your subconscious is telling you there's something wrong about it. And really, this is what it's all about. It's about enhancing the flow of energy around to make people feel good. And that's the beauty of Feng Shui. So yes, there is an element of moving things, adding things, but first it's all about that energy, and it's all about the energy that you have in your organization.
So you have there's 9 keys according in your book about big Bizshui.
Yes.
So why don't you talk us through what those are?
Yeah, I think it was important to kind of explain a little bit, because again, when I put that method, I wanted to it's realizing that our environment will affect us as a person. Me, the way I feel, the way I think, the way I behave, my state of being is affected by what's happening outside. So, and in return, if I don't feel good, I'm never going to deliver great service, am I? This is that's just seems simple, but that's how they all work together. So if we're looking at a physical environment first and we assessing it, then we can clear the space, because clutter, it really definitely is not good energy, it's not good chi. So we need to kind of keep that good energy around and add some Feng Shui practice, some tools and tips within your environment. You started to clear that environment, and then you can start looking at your inner energy. So your employees' inner energy, your own inner energy. How do you behave? What are your habits? How do you think? What kind of mental clutter do you have in your head, which will actually block your own energy and actually stop you, really giving that great service? So when you have the outer energy right, the inner energy right, well, that customer experience is going to go well.
Sky's the limit.
Right, exactly. You're communicating well. You can look at everything that is all about communications. Again, it's all about energy, right? What kind of colors do you use on your website? What kind of images do you use? What do you share? How do you share those? Whether it's physical or whether it's online, you still kind of sending out those energies. So look at your communication, look at your employees. How are they feeling working from home? How, you're really helping them, to be engaged and be more productive despite the whole changes that we have. And of course, our dear customers, we need to look after them a little, don't we?
We do.
It's so easy when you've got everything else right. It's just so easy when you've got everything else right.
So is the book itemized that you then work? Do you work through these 9 keys, or what is it? How does the book work?
Yeah, so this is, that's kind of how the method work. It is a method. So it really, it's that blend of the Feng Shui with the employee experience and the customer experience with the personal needs as well. And so you're going from one to the other. So you're really looking at enhancing the environment. Then you optimize yourself, and then we can look at everything else that is within the employee experience and the customer experience. So in a customer experience kind of point of view strategy, you're always looking at, the before, the during, after of the customers. Well, this is it kind of overall on top of it, because it kind of look at that physical environment and that personal of being to be able to deliver that great service. So it really is a very new way of thinking about it, a bit more holistic as well, which, I suppose, but it's very comprehensive because it makes total sense when you're doing it and you start looking at it.
And so who have you aimed the book at? Is it for marketers or business leaders, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more for the business leaders, whether you're a manager, whether you're a company organization, really understanding how that environment piece will affect your employees' well-being and will affect the customer experience. So, to be able to make changes, we need to be able to do that at a certain level. But everybody in the book can pick up the book and actually make some changes today. I've had, I've had people, sole traders who've read it and they've started changing things the whole weekend and, send me some messages just saying that was just amazing. I've had little organization who's done the same thing, just read the few first paragraph and actually could put in place things which was really very simple to do, and switching that energy, which is really important. That's what we're trying to do.
And thanks for Ros for tuning in and giving us that feedback. Thank you. So what can people do to get started? What things can we start doing? What kind of what do I need to move around in my office to get?
Tim, we need to have a full session together on that one.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Well, the first thing that really, and today's Chinese New Year, so there's a few things, before Chinese New Year that you really want to get it right. So things like decluttering, really kind of getting things right. And I'm talking decluttering, people think, it's mess, on the side of an office. But it's not just this, it's your filing cabinet, it's your desktop, it's your phone. All those things are cluttering yourself and the way your productivity, because it's slowed down, you can't find things, and that's kind of bad energy. So really kind of clearing up some of those things. And also you think about it, if you clear some spaces, and I know I shouldn't say that, I'm a customer experience person and I shouldn't say that, but sometimes decluttering your corporate closet is quite important as well. Not all customers are good for your business, and they're they're not always a good fit. And sometimes we try to fit that particular client when really they may be better working with somebody else. So think about the amount of time and energy that you're putting in your relationships, and how can you actually perhaps ending a relationship, passing them on to somebody else, and it gives you space to other clients and other customers to come through your doors and really enjoy what you're doing. So it's important to do that. And then once you kind of have that clear space and you've got clear, time around you, then you can really start adding some of those Feng Shui tips within your offices. So things like there's 5 elements in Feng Shui principle. One of the principles, it's called the 5 elements. And 5 elements is wood. Wood feeds fire. Fire feeds earth. Earth feeds metal. And metal feeds water. So once you've got those 5 elements within your environment, you start seeing nature from the outside coming inside. And so all about the yin and yang, isn't it? You need to have that right balance. Not too yang, otherwise, you'll have your staff going all over the place, and, and not too yin, otherwise they'll all be sleeping all day and not doing any work. So there's real balance of those principles that you need to think about when you're in, whether it's a corporate environment, whether it's a retail environment. When you're walking in somewhere, use your 5 senses. What can you smell? What can you hear? What can you see? What can you taste? What can you touch? Really, those are really powerful drivers to your customer's emotional level. And that's what we want to create, that emotional level, so your customer starts feeling good, releasing those happy hormones, right?
Because you used to be a secret shopper, didn't you?
Right. Yes, that's right. Yes. That's kind of how I started 12 years ago, my mystery shopping program. So it was very much, at the time, I guess it was quite a lot of tick boxes, and as we grew the last, 10 years, 8, 9, 5 years, it was a lot more about connecting, really connecting on an emotional. How did it feel when you did that? How, and I think now a lot of the mystery shopping program are very much about that connection and understanding how your customers feel. Because if they feel good, they'll come back to you.
They'll come back, yeah.
They'll recommend you to their friend and family. Yay! That's what we want. Increasing loyalty. That really is what, everybody wants to try to do in their business.
So what sort of things have you, because I can see behind you that you've got, so what things have you do you do with your own office?
Well, one big things that you need to do, and actually I can see behind you, you've got a door behind you.
I have, yeah.
Right. Okay. And
I
so
need to get rid of it, do I?
right. The problem is with, what happened with your body. Your body's here to protect you, right? So every moment of the day, your body's sending alerts everywhere just to make sure that, you're being protected. So if you don't know what's happening behind you, people, your body may start thinking, somebody may come and stab me in the back, right? And that's one of the big thing about,
Well, it comes with living in London, yeah.
Also, so one of the big thing about about home offices is actually being able to have your desk in such a way that you can actually see who is coming through the door. So not having that door behind But sometimes, and of course with home offices, it's very difficult to change and move things around. But you can't believe how quick the energy shift when you're turning that desk and making it, giving another position. If you can't do that, have a mirror in front of you so you can see straight away from the behind without moving your head, and your body suddenly is going to go, oh, that's okay, I'm safe. But having a
So I've got a window in front of me here.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I look out over a nature reserve. Long story about where I live, but I live out, and even though I live in London, I look out over a nature reserve. So every now and again, I see squirrels going up in the trees and stuff like that, which is quite
That's very nice. Yeah, no, I think it's important to, take some of those some of those tips that are in there. There's loads and loads and loads of ideas and things, and actually try them out, because, it may be good for you, but it may not be good for somebody else. And actually, it is about you enhancing your flow energy with your environment. And that's what, the magic happens. So we do things, we change things, we add, remove, and then wait for a few days, see how it feels. If it feels good and you can see things starting shifting and moving, if it doesn't, we need to do something else about it.
So have you got any more tips for people around what they should be doing from a bit, in your Bizshui book?
Yeah, so things like, okay, so if you are working from a home office, if we're talking home office spaces kind of things, there's a lot of radiation, right? So EMF, electronic magnetic fields. So all your Wi-Fi, your telephones, your plugs, everything's out there. So it's good just to have some plants. So a plant in your office would be a good way to kind of reduce a little bit some of those radiations. I don't know if you're into crystal, but something like shungite, it's a Russian crystal.
Right.
And shungite is actually absorb those kind of EMF radiation. So it's good to have a little bit of crystals around actually, and just reducing that space. So it's always about turn things off as well, and make your office you coming for the day. And that's a lot of the things that people have, during the pandemic, is they were working from the side of a bed or kitchen. They may still be doing that. And that's the hard thing, because you have no day, no night, everything is into one. So really creating real habits. And so that comes into your own personal state of being. What are your habits? When you arrive in the morning, you get your, if you're in the kitchen table, pack everything into a box in the evening, put your computer, your pens, everything into a box. So you put it on the way, and that's it. It's finished for the day. And in the morning, you start your little routine. You're taking everything off, you're making coffee. So these are the kind of things that are really important to be able to create habits and create that space that you need to break off between one and the other.
Sorry, I'm just making a note. Yeah, I think it's really important that we have that there is somehow or other space between this is how I work and this is how I live, and I think that's one of the things that we've had to grapple with over the last 2 years. So yeah, I agree with that.
And again, we talked a little bit about physical environment, doing things. We talk about that personal state of being. If you're looking at, like I said just earlier, your communication and the way you communicate with your customers, use sensory words. Look at your copy. Look at how you write a blog. Look at your website. What pages maybe don't you need in there? What's redundant? Is that photo really relating to who you are and what you're doing? What are the colors that you're using? All those kind of things comes into the same place of, that feel good energy within. So on your website, on your copies, on your social media, kind of creating that real, and that's all about the customer experience from the moment they arrive at yours to the moment they leave and come back later. You want to create a touch points where they feel really good around you at every touch point.
Claire, thank you so much for coming on. especially for Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. I feel the energy starting to rise already. Remind people where they can get hold of you and your book, and where they can get hold of your book and stuff.
Sure. So ClaireBoscq-Scott.com is where you'll get the book. Go onto the page and find Bizshui, and then of course on Amazon. So Bizshui, and it's 9 keys to Feng Shui your business for success. Woo!
Fantastic, and congratulations to you, Claire, for sitting down and actually writing with it, and the creativity of coming. As someone who's written a book, I respect you, and I think it's just brilliant that you've got that you've done it. I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all about getting that right energy and that right flow into when you write as well, isn't it? Really kind of, it needs to flow. Otherwise, you may have that book on your computer for years until you kind of finish it.
And Roz is looking forward to get your book. So,
thank you, Roz.
so thank you, Roz, and Shannon for tuning in. So thank you so much, and thank you, Claire, for coming on today and telling us about your book as well.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.